just do your best to keep going, and the days will get better. You know, we all go through these moments where we're down deep in the trenches, and to me, when I'm going through a bad time, I just think when I have gone through a worse time.
Welcome back to Mind Over Emotions, the podcast. I'm your host, Herc. For those of you who are just tuning in, if you haven't already, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at Mind Over Emotions _VDP. Follow us on TikTok as well at Mind Over Emotions, the podcast. And while you're on this channel, go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you'd like to come on the podcast and share your story with hopes to inspire, encourage, motivate other people to keep going on and not give up, go ahead and shoot me an email to mindoremotionsthepodcast@gmail.com. And as always, like I tell everybody, make sure that you have a support system, somebody around you who you can turn to, who you can talk to keep you level-headed and keep you grounded. And just have that support system because it's very important. So, and Brenda, go ahead and do me a favor. Introduce yourself, name, age, where you from, how many kids you have, if you have any, and relationship status.
Okay. My name's Brenda. I'm from Portland, Oregon. I am 32, and I have one daughter who is 14.
All right.
And I am single.
All right. First and foremost, happy belated birthday. She had a birthday yesterday, guys.
Yes, thank you. Just turned 32.
All right. How's it feel being 32?
It feels good.
Feels good?
Yeah.
Any different than 31?
A couple more grays popping through. No, no, not really. Just another year for me.
Okay. And how long have you been single?
11 years.
Ooh, all right, we'll get into that. We'll get into that later. So explain to me, how was it growing up in Portland?
It was good, you know. Being around family, all of my family's very close, so we were always, everything was family oriented, from sports to Christmas, Thanksgiving, all the holidays, everything like that. We were very close, so life was good out there. It was great.
Okay. Did you grow up in a nuclear household? Meaning, like, did you grow up with your mom and your dad in the same household?
I did.
Okay.
But my mom also does have kids with other men previously to my dad. But yes, both my parents were in the household when I grew up. Yeah.
Your whole life, all the way till you graduated?
Yeah, they honestly just separated a couple of years ago. So, for a long time they were together, yeah.
Let me ask you this. Having parents who you spent your whole life together with and then they divorce, right, or separate, do you feel like that affects your outlook on relationships? Do you feel like it makes it seem like nothing's gonna last?
No, I don't think so. I just have always said that after marriage comes divorce, and I've seen it not only like in my family or my household or with anybody like that. It's just I've seen it all over the world with different, even outsiders, not family or anybody like that.
So you believe that if you get married, you're gonna get a divorce?
I believe that after marriage comes divorce, yes.
So you don't think no marriage is gonna last forever?
I don't think so, no.
Why do you feel that way, though?
I don't know. I don't know why. I just have always thought that way. And like I said, I think some of it has to do with me seeing so many people separating, or even being not separating, but being divorced and unhappily married and want to be divorced, you know.
So do you think that people actually find their true love, or do you think that they settle?
I think that maybe they thought it was true love, you know, and then eventually when it's not, it's like you have to go through this turmoil of going through divorce or a separation, and it's something that's, let's put a ring on it and say we're married, but like to have to go through all that extra stuff when you could just be with that person and that one you love without having to go through actual marriage. I think that that's a possibility, but marriage, no, I don't.
I feel like, to be honest, that people, before they get married, everything's fine. And then once you sign that paper and you make it like official, I feel like sometimes, not always, I feel like sometimes people change.
Yeah.
Whether it's the guy feeling like, oh yeah, like, you know, I got you now, I can control you and I can just let loose and be, you know, this narcissistic person. Right. Or whether it's the female doing the same thing. Yeah. You know, I feel like sometimes people do that.
I think in some aspects marriage could be great and it could be good, you know, but to me I just think that After years and years, eventually, I don't know, something.
So let me ask you this
There's,
then. What do you think needs to happen or needs to be a part of a relationship in order for it to last long term? The main three things.
one thing to me is like just showing that you're there for me and only me, like showing your consistency with or loyalty, really, you know what I'm saying? Just showing that I'm the only one, you know. And I think that with marriage you could do that. A lot of people do that, right? That's why they give that vow. They do that big old marriage in front of people. They do that big old wedding and ceremony because they want to show they're giving their life to you, or you're going to be the only one, you know. But
What's the other two things that you need? You said loyalty.
I don't know. I don't know. It's so hard for me to even think about relationships or marriage because,
You've been single so long.
yeah.
Do you want to be in a relationship?
Not that I want to. I've been in situationships where I felt like, okay, maybe it is time to be in a relationship, but I still never have got myself to commit to that yet, to anybody.
What do you think hinders you?
I think that the relationship I had 11 years ago has probably a lot to do with it, and that not that I should bring that into my current relationships, right? Because everybody deserves a fair chance with me or with anybody.
Yeah.
Despite what we've been through in the past or what somebody else has put us through. But I just feel like I bring a lot of that baggage from back then onto my aspect on relationships now.
Okay. So growing up with your parents, are you the only kid?
No, I am. My mom had 5 kids.
5 kids.
Yes.
Ooh, how do you? Because I come from a family of 7, right? So my mom had 7 kids. Coming from such a big family, how do you feel like it, growing up was?
It was good, but I did see a lot of chaos and craziness when it came to relationships too, and a lot of my family members and stuff. And I just feel like I learned a lot from them, and maybe what not to deal with or what not to settle for.
Okay.
Because I've seen them settle for so little, and relationships gone so bad that now I just see like a little bit of the taste of what I've seen back then in their relationships, and I'm just like, nope, I don't got time for it now, you know.
I got you. But as a kid, how was life as a kid growing up in a family of 5?
It was good. It was good. My 2 older sisters were way older, and they had a different dad, and then my brother also had a different dad. So they were so much older that by the time I could even really recollect my life, it was only me, my little sister, and my brother in the household.
So, what's one benefit you find from having so many siblings, and what's one downfall you find from having so many siblings?
I don't see a downfall in
Okay.
having so many siblings. It's an amazing thing to have big family, you know. And benefits is just having them there, because we're so close. I could call them tomorrow and be like, I need you here in an hour, and they live 3 hours away, and best believe they would make it here in an hour. So that's one benefit of having so many siblings and a bigger family. I always have people there for me no matter what, because at the end of the day, I don't.
A lot of people will say, right, in big families that they didn't get maybe as much attention, or they didn't get as much love, from their parents, because the parents had to balance it from, through all the kids, right? So you feel like that your parents did a great job of showing you all the attention you deserved?
I do. I
Okay.
do. I feel like they tried their best with what they had, you know. They made sure that us kids were in sports if we wanted to be in sports, or we had, the next nicest costume, even if it costed them short on their bills or something, they always made sure it worked no matter what, even with all of us kids. And my older sisters are almost 20 years older than me, so they were way out of the household with their own families,
Okay.
long before.
So out of the bottom 3,
I
were
was
you the
grown up.
oldest?
I'm the second youngest.
Okay, so you're so out of the people who were at home and the dynamic of home, you were the middle child. Did you see any kind of flaws of being the middle child?
I just talked to my mom about that last night because she came and visited from Portland. And yeah, I told her I was the middle child. I was the only one that really got grounded, right? Because the younger one they could see no wrong. She's just a little baby. And then the older one was my brother. He's the only boy out of all 5. He was a teenager. He could go out and do him and hang out with his buddies or go to the park late night. And then I just felt like I was kind of stuck in the middle at times. I still got attention, I still whatever, but I was the one that got grounded or,
Well, how did your mom respond to that?
she was like, no, no, no. I disciplined all you guys. And I'm like, yeah, to an extent, you know.
That's how
Because I always say that too. I have always said that, just like you said. That shocked me that you said that because I was like, yeah, I was kind of the middle child because the two older ones were out of the picture before I could even really remember it.
Yeah, because I see a lot of times, right, where you'll tell your parents, like, you show favoritism to this person. They never want to see it.
They don't want to admit it.
They don't want to admit
Yeah.
it, right? But I think that it's not a downfall that in parenting. I think that is just how it kind of goes. It's just, especially like when you have a dynamic of 3, right? Or let's say a dynamic of 5. There's going to be 2 older, there's going to be 2 younger, and there's going to be the one
Right.
slapped down in the middle, right? And that middle child is going to always feel like the 2 older got different treatment than the 2 younger ones, right? Like even with my mom, like, right? With us being seven of us, like I'm pretty sure my siblings can say, like, we could point out like certain people, like for instance, like my baby sister, the youngest of 7. Oh, definitely treated differently.
Yeah.
And then out of the boys.
You
like,
think just being babied literally because they were the baby, right? Or is that the same dynamic?
Partially babied, but also I think it's because, like, for instance, like with my mom, we all grew up, and then she was the only one left at the house for so long. It's just her and my mom.
Yeah.
And so they were able to build a closer bond, I feel like. And like like she got that time where she was just one-on-one. And there's no slack on my mom or nothing like that. It's just how it played out,
Yeah.
And I feel
just
like
got a closer connection just because they were able to be closer.
yeah, like my
for so
mom
much
did
longer.
really well with connecting. I mean, you met my mom, like, she's great, right? And she does her best, and she raised. I feel like for having 7 kids and having us young, like, man, my mom did amazing.
She did her part, right?
Yeah, she did amazing. But and when I say but, I'm not about to say nothing negative.
Right.
What I'm about to say is, but like my younger sister, she had a lot more one-on-one time. Like the last, like, you figure my sister right above her, there's like a 4 or 5 year gap between them. So she left. She stayed there for a little while, but then she ended up leaving. And she, my younger sister got at least, like, I'd say at least minimum 2 years with just my mom. And so I think that, she's the baby. She's babied. Still to this day, my mom, she stresses about, because like my mom lives here now, and then my younger sister lives back in Atlanta.
Yeah.
And so my mom stresses about, like how she's doing and what she's got going on. And
Yeah, my little sister is still the baby, even though she's grown and has her own kid finally. My sister definitely will just, my mom will turn her whole world around just to go see my sister or make sure my sister has what she needs. And
Exactly.
even to the aspect of like, oh, your sister's going to be mad at me if I don't go pick this up like she asked me to. And it's like, for me, she would just be like, I'll do it tomorrow, But like with my little sister, she's like, oh, I got to make sure she's not mad at me. And I think it's not really necessarily favoritism, but it's just that closer dynamic that they've had. My sister stayed in the house so much longer than the rest of us siblings. All of us
more
moved
recent.
on and had kids very young. And
it's
my
more recent.
sister just at 27 had her first kid, or 25. I don't know her age. I'm bad with age, but
Mom,
so.
if you're watching this, now you see we're not the only ones who feel that way. So it's not something negative. It's just how it goes,
Yeah.
Did you ever play any sports and stuff like that?
I did. I played soccer and basketball, but not for very long. It was
Okay.
like 2 years each, or 2 years for soccer and 1 year for basketball. I was very horrible at basketball.
Well, explain like how you were in middle school and high school. Like, how was that for you?
In middle school, I was just kind of one of those people just getting by. I was trying to pass my classes, B's and C's, a couple A's if it was an easy class like PE or something,
If you got less than an A in PE, something wrong.
Or like, an elective class, a class that you chose for fun. Like those were, of course, I'm getting A's, but I skimmed by. I passed my shit, and I went to high school and had my daughter very young, but I still graduated high school, so I felt
You had your
good
daughter in
about
high
that.
school?
Huh?
You had your daughter in high school?
Yeah.
Before we get into that, how would your peers in high school, if you had to ask them like how they describe you, how would they describe you?
kind of like anybody would today, just very friendly and outgoing and kind of just loving everybody. Like everybody can have a hug from me. I can say hi to everybody. I wasn't best friends with the cheerleaders or best friends with like, like the people they so-called weird, right? I just kind of like I would associate with them. I would associate with them. I just loved everybody. So I would think everybody just would say I was outgoing.
Outgoing?
Yeah.
Okay. And how old were you when you had your daughter?
I was 16 going on 17.
Okay. And how did your family react to that?
My dad was very upset.
Okay.
He blamed it on my mom, kind of. Was like, well, you let her go with this guy all the time after school and whatnot. But at the end of the day, it was my fault. It was not my mom's fault. It was not my dad's fault. It was my fault because I was out doing stuff I had no business doing, but we got a beautiful blessing out of it, so that's okay. But my family did react kind of crazy. But both my older sisters, they had kids even younger, so it was kind of already
Even
this,
younger
like,
than 16?
Yeah, it was kind of this pattern of my mom had kids young, my older sisters had kids young, and I was next. And I was like, I joke with them, well, I waited longer than you guys did, but I still had her at a very young age where I should have been more focused on my education and doing things for myself, not out there.
So what kind of things do you do as a mom now to, not even say, prevent your daughter from having, keeping that cycle going, having kids young?
We are very open and honest with her. We tell her, hey, like, your grandma and your auntie had kids at this young. Me and your dad had kids. And to her, she can't really fathom it. She's like, wow, like 16, like, you're still in high school. So to her, I think that she really does look at it like, yeah, we're kind of showing her this wow factor too. Like, we shouldn't have been having you at this young either. We love you and you're a blessing, but like school should be more important and focused on your education, and then just her being able to do things. I'm like, I didn't get to go back into the soccer team and do all that. Not that it was like a hinder, but I also just made more time for you. I made more time to finish high school. I did all this. And you want to be able to focus on yourself and do things for yourself before you have to sit there and worry about another human being. So we'll have those hard conversations, with her and just say, like...
What kind of struggles did you have as a teen mom? Having a kid? I'm guessing you're in 10th grade?
I lived out of district, so I had to take the public bus to school every day. Just the struggles, like dealing with just taking care of her after school and trying to navigate doing my homework and still making it to school on time in the mornings because I had a late night and I'm a new mom. And it was a lot. There was a lot of struggles with that. And I made it work, but it was
I was going to ask,
hard.
like, having a kid in high school, right, in like 10th grade, right? You got to be at school, say, like, be up for school like 6. And having a newborn, like, they're up all night. You're up, feeding the child is crying a lot. They're not sleeping fully throughout the night. So how are you able to manage dealing with that and then, having the energy to do school and deal with all the things that come with being in high school?
I would say one thing that was a blessing for me was my school providing daycare for teen parents.
Okay.
And so
daycare for teen parents?
Yes.
Okay.
And so if you had a child, you got to take your kid to daycare right across the street from the high school, drop them off, finish your school day, and pick them up on the way out. And so I think without having that, I don't think I would have made it happen. I think being able to have her right across the street, you even had one class with your child that you got a credit for.
Nice.
To go and spend an hour with your kid in the daycare and check on them and do
This
all
is
that.
in Portland?
So, yeah.
Big shout out to Portland School District.
Yeah, I think that teen parents was starting to become not necessarily mainstream, because that sounds like okay.
But it's really prevalent.
Yeah, exactly. But it was happening more and more, and for them to give us that opportunity to say, hey, we want you to finish school, and we want you to do that. I think that helped a lot. And then me just trying to keep myself motivated, but it was a struggle. It was a lot.
Would you say that your family was a big support throughout that, or you feel like they just kind of like say like, hey, like Brenda, you had this kid, so you to figure it out?
I think it always takes a village, as everybody says, and I did have my family there for me. At first they were like, okay, she's having this kid young again. But then they just took on the reins with me. Like, I took on the reins as a teen parent, and they did as my family to be there for me. So.
Let me ask you a question about being a teen parent. I was a teen parent as well, right? Do you feel like, because, like, for instance, like, you're a teenager, right? So you obviously don't know how to raise a kid, right?
Yeah.
And then you have this kid, and you're trying to raise the kid how you want to. Do you feel like that sometimes, because you're a teen, that your parents or your family kind of overstep their boundaries with helping you raise them because they feel like you're a child trying to raise a child? Did you ever deal with that?
I don't feel like I ever had an overstepping with them. I feel like they kind of just let me do me, but the minute I needed help, they were there.
Okay.
So I have seen that aspect with some things where they're just kind of like trying to basically take over the whole situation, you know. But with me, I was lucky to have them there, but for me to actually solely kind of just have to figure it out, which I guess in some aspects, yeah, it was kind of like, oh, this is scary. It's my first time being a parent, but I had to figure it out, and I think they kind of stepped back and let me do that.
Because I think for me, like, as a teen dad, right, I feel like that I was so, like, just all over the place, trying to figure it out, trying to understand. I felt like I portrayed, or I wouldn't say portrayed, but, like, I felt like I made my family feel like they were overstepping when they were really just trying to help. I felt like I went through a phase of that where, like, you know, I was just kind of like overprotective of me being a father, and me not knowing what to do, but also
Kind of
feel
like I got this.
yeah, I got this, but I really don't.
Yeah.
And not really wanting to fail, but also not wanting to, you know,
Do you
want
think
help.
that in some aspects that was kind of a pride thing? Like maybe
Yeah, for sure.
your pride was like, I got this. I can do this without you guys.
Especially as a guy, you know, like, because, you know, as a man, you know, even, like, I'm a teenager trying to, you know, find my way.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I possess ego, right?
Right.
And so, like, my ego tells me, like, I always said, you know, growing up, you know, I always wanted to be better than my father, better than my stepdad, you know, like, and so when God blessed me with my child, that was, like, the biggest thing is, like, I wanted to try all these different ways. I wanted to make sure that I was, you know, the best dad that I could be, right? But I think that during that time, I fell short because I was trying so hard, and then my childhood, my teenage, you know, as a young man, you're kind of like, you go through those phases where you want to just be out there and be wild.
Yeah.
And so I'll admit, like, as a father, I made a lot of mistakes. As a, you know,
I think as parents, we all do. As much as we don't want to admit it, we make a mistake in some way, you know, because we're still learning, especially when it's your first time being a parent. You're not going to do everything 100% like you want to, even if you're trying your hardest to.
Yeah, I just feel like sometimes, like, reflecting back on it, like, I was never really given the grace of being, like, a teen dad. Like, I was never given that grace. Like, I was just always, like, even to this day, I was always expected to be the man the father that I am today back then. And,
Right.
But that's neither here nor there. So, did you go to college?
I did not.
Do you feel like you didn't go to college because you had a kid, or do you feel like you just didn't, you chose a different path?
I don't want to say it's because I had a kid, because I've had friends that had kids the same age as that I did, and they went to college. So who am I to say that it's because I had a kid, you know? I just feel like school for me was not it anyways, and I hardly graduated high school. I just didn't feel like college was the right avenue for me to go do. You know,
So after high school, what did you dive into after that?
Straight into work.
Okay.
I had to pay bills. I had to put diapers on her, clothes on her, you know, so straight to work, honestly.
Okay. And throughout all this, where was her dad at?
So we conceived in Portland, Oregon, and when I got pregnant, he moved to Washington State back here with his mom.
Okay.
Because they were going through like financial hardships over there. So they had a lot of family here in Washington, and so they moved here, and then they left. I was pregnant and left in Portland. So.
But did he have any kind of relationship with her when she was young?
Yes and no. Yeah, he came to visit, and you know, every couple of months he would come and visit for a day and come see her. Like, we would meet at the mall, and he would just take her off for a couple hours and take her to get new clothes or whatever, and then we'd meet back up, and I'd take her. And so it was a relationship more than some people have with their dads, but it wasn't what I wanted for her. So that's why I moved to Washington.
Okay. before we get into that, right? As a single mom, let me ask you this: what's your perspective on like child support?
He's never, ever, ever in his life been on child support, and she's 14. So, to me, I just felt like I'm gonna do it myself. I just kind of was like, as much as yeah, the help would have been nice, especially when I raised her, up till she was almost 5 on my own in Portland. I just didn't feel like taking money from him was the right thing to do. I was gonna do it on my own anyway. It was kind of a pride thing for me too, like you were saying earlier. Like I didn't want to have to ask for help, so I just said I got it on my own.
But from in your opinion, do you feel like that child support is abused? And what I mean by that is like, for instance, like I don't like as a guy, as a father, a non-custodial father of two children that's been on child support. I feel like that child support serves a purpose, but like I said on a previous episode, I just feel like sometimes that child support or support period, like financial support,
Yeah.
is sometimes looked at as how much that person cares about their children, and it's used as a weapon to kind of like, you know, weaponize the kids against the non-custodial parent, whether it's the father or the mother that's not
Yeah.
non-custodial. Would you agree?
I think every situation is different, but yes, I've seen that, and I've seen that before. Yeah.
Yeah,
Where
I feel like
people do use it more as like a one-up, or like you said, a weapon against the non-custodial parent, because they'll be like, okay, like now let me just get child support because of their own emotional feelings or whatever the situation is, right? But to me, as much as my emotions have been in it or out of it, I don't think that child support was like, yes, it was right for me to have help, as a single mom, but I just didn't feel like it was right for me to even.
what would you say
want
is
to
your biggest
ask.
struggle? Has been your biggest struggle dealing with being a single mom? I don't want to say that. Or your biggest struggle with dealing with a co-parent that you're not together with.
So at first it was hard because we were at an intimate level with each other when I first moved out here. We did start hooking up and hanging out, for the first time since high school. But then it got to a point where it just wasn't, we were more on a relationship type of level, but it wasn't ever working out for us. And so once we stopped that physical aspect of things and we said, hey, like we just have to, it's not working out. We just have to move our separate ways, whatever. Ever since then, our co-parenting has been amazing.
Okay.
And I think that a lot of people still have those big emotional feelings when it comes to their significant other or their baby's dad or baby's mom, right? They have all these emotions because they are still physically with each other, or they do have these like big feelings still, right? But once you can let go of all that and just focus on the parenting, I mean, there should be no struggle with co-parenting. And there's not with me and him. So
What brought you to Washington?
him, not him necessarily, but my daughter being able to be with him more.
So it's safe to say that you put aside where you truly wanted to be and your wants to make sure that your child had a relationship with their father.
Yeah, all my family's still in Portland. I came here with me and my daughter, packed a U-Haul in my car and headed out.
Do you regret it at all?
I wouldn't say regret, because my daughter has a wonderful life having both her parents. I mean, and the way we co-parent, we can say, hey, you did good, like you graduated 8th grade, we're going to go out to a dinner together. We can do these type of things now, and I think that she's blessed in that way, so I don't regret it. But I do miss my family. I do want to be with my family, but
So what kind of advice?
she wants to be here, and that's where I'm going to be.
There you go. So what kind of advice would you give to parents out there who are trying to co-parent and they might be having like roadblocks or something like that?
I just say that you have to just put boundaries in place. Like, boundaries is the main thing for me that made everything work. I had to put boundaries. Hey, we're not going to be hooking up anymore when we're drunk once a month, or even having that physical aspect of things, because we know it's not going to work. We know we're just going to do that hookup, and then all these feelings and being mad at each other is going to come back. So just putting boundaries in place and saying, hey, we're here to like co-parent, and co-parent is treaded lightly these days. It's not co-parent and mess around on the side. It's you really have to say, if you want to co-parent with them, make it a co-parenting situation, and that means putting those boundaries in place, especially when it comes to a physical aspects, or even you're not allowed to just come walk into my front door. You need to knock, and or even tell me you're coming type of thing. Those little things where you can, when you can set those little boundaries in place, then I think everything works out so good.
Okay. And then what kind of advice would you give to a single mom out there who's kind of like doing it on their own, and they might be struggling with just, you know, the weight of them doing it on their own. They love their child, but they just struggling. What kind of advice would you give to them?
I would just say, just do your best to keep going, and the days will get better. You know, we all go through these moments where we're down deep in the trenches, and to me, when I'm going through a bad time, I just think when I have gone through a worse time.
Okay.
And I say, hey, like you got through that sometime where you were just way down deep in the dark. If I could get through that, this little hump I'm going through, this little hurdle right now ain't nothing.
Okay.
You know, and so just take it day by day. Don't worry about, what's going to happen next month, what's going to happen tomorrow. Just do your best today, and that's what I would say.
Did you ever deal with any kind of like mental health issues or struggles?
Yes, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What kind of struggles?
Just struggles of, like at one point I was homeless for a little bit, and I went through these struggles of like maybe I'm not enough, maybe I shouldn't be here. So I have gone through those struggles, mentally and emotionally.
Did you ever get to a point where you felt like giving up?
Not quite, no. But I have felt like defeated to a point where it's like not necessarily giving up on life, but just like, what do I do? Like let me just lay in bed for a week straight because I don't know what to do, you know, type of deal. I've gone through those very bad emotional times, especially with the teen parent and taking care of her until she was 5 and doing all these things and going through this life of like.
Was there anything besides your daughter that helped you get through those times though?
I heard my family. You know, I just feel like my family is always going to be there for me, and anytime I look at them, they give me hope that like I'm here for a reason. Especially my daughter, I'm here for a reason, and I'm meant to be here. So I have to pull myself out of those emotional times where I just want to lay in bed and I gotta do something, you know. I gotta stay focused. I can't call out of work. I gotta stay working, because at the end of the day, if I'm not doing all that, everything's just gonna go even more downhill. Sometimes I have to give myself that mental note of like, laying in bed all week is not gonna help you get anywhere or make what is happening right now any better, you know.
Now, as a single mom, what kind of things do you do? How do you find? Let me back up real quick. How do you find time to put you first? You know what I mean, like time for yourself.
So now that her dad does, you know, we do this co-parenting thing, and her dad does take her throughout the week and stuff like that now. I think that it's easy for me to make time, and I do. I play darts for fun. I hang out with girlfriends and go out to dinner dates. I go to the gym, not so much. I've taken like 2 months off the gym, but the gym was like a real big outlet for me when she was with her dad. 2 hours a day, 5 days a week I was going for a while, and it was just something to just like do for myself and feel good about myself. And so I think some things like that where you just get out and explore the world, which I never really did before. I was always so stuck on being a parent and working that I never got to do any of that.
Do you think that people pass judgment on you because they don't know your life dynamics, so they assume that you're just kind of like out here in the streets and not taking care of your kids or your kid?
Honestly, I know what I do every day and all day, and I know what I've done in the 14 years that she's been born, so I don't really worry about what people are thinking or saying. If they see me go out 3 days a week, I don't have to explain myself that she's with her dad finally, and he takes her and he's a great dad. I don't have to explain that she has a good dad and that I can go out 3 days a week, you know.
But have you experienced that where people do pass that kind of judgment on you?
I think maybe people do, but people don't say it, you know,
Okay.
necessarily. They don't speak it. They don't say, oh, well, what is Brenda doing on a Tuesday night out here, you know. It's because I'm able to, and sacrificed a lot moving from family to be able to do that. Or, you know what I'm saying? Not that my family never would have in the past, but now she has her dad. She's very well set at his place. She's well set at my place. And so I don't really feel like explaining myself to anybody is going to do any justice, because I think people are still going to pass judgment regardless.
I totally agree.
Yeah.
No matter what you do, you could do 100% the right thing, and they're still going to find a flaw.
Yeah.
They're going to find something to nitpick you about. So I think that, kudos to you for, just kind of like living your life the best way that you know how to do it, and on your own terms. Because I think a lot of people, they want to fall into what society says is best for them, right? And
which is easy to do. That's easy to do, when
it's
everyone's
easy to
saying
do,
this is
but at the same
right
time,
thing.
You're gonna always be chasing what they want you to do, because the dynamic's gonna always change. They're gonna always say, like, you should be doing this, and then once you start doing that, you should be doing this, you should be doing that. It's always, I think that
no matter what you do, somebody's going to agree and somebody's going to disagree.
Correct.
So why would I even worry about what you're going to think or you're going to think? Because at the end of the day, I'm doing wrong for somebody in somebody's eyes, and I'm doing right in somebody's eyes. So at the end of the day, I'm going to just do right by me.
There you go. Choose you first. Yeah, of course. What kind of advice would you give to somebody who might be battling with that, try to figure out, are they doing the right thing because the people around them or society is telling them, like, you need to be at home 5 days a week or 6 days a week with your kids?
I say that if you know you're doing your best, don't worry about what anybody else says, because like we just said, there's going to be so many people that are going to disagree. You could stay home 7 days a week, be Miss, Betty Crocker, making meals and doing all this 7 days a week. Somebody's still going to have something to say about why you're home with your kid too much all of a sudden. Or, you know what I'm saying? It's just, to me, there's never going to be no right or wrong when it comes into other people's eyes. There's always going to be a right and a wrong.
Plus, I feel like people, they forget that, you're a parent, but you're also a human. Like I had my sister on here, and she talked about, balance, like how she wakes up, like 15, 30 minutes before the kids wake up, to have that time for herself, just to have peace.
Yeah.
Because if you spend your entire life, there's nothing wrong with, putting your kids first, as you should, right? But at the same time, you have to live your life as well, right? You have to find time for yourself, or if not, you're going to lose yourself, right? And at the end of the day, like, everybody's life comes to an end at some point.
Yeah.
So if you lived your entire life and you never did anything for yourself, I feel like as you get older, your kids get older, they're going to feel like shit, because they're going to be like, well, dang, my mom, she didn't do anything because she never got to live her life because she put us before. They're going to be grateful for it, but then at the same time, they're going to feel bad. Yeah. And you don't want your kids to feel that way. I feel like all kids, even though in the moment they want their moms and they want their dads right there, they also deep down want their parents to live. So I think it's admirable that you kind of figured that out early. At a young age, and that you're living your life, and I say keep going, man.
Yeah.
So look, at this point of the podcast, everybody's favorite part of the podcast, you gotta spin what we call the trauma wheel.
Okay.
So while you spin it, go ahead. I'll explain what the trauma wheel is.
All
so
right.
basically, I have you guys spin the wheel. There's 8 different topics on there. Whatever it lands on, we'll discuss it, and basically you explain a time where that explain what you went through, explain how you got out of it, and any advice you would give to somebody going through it.
Okay.
So we got emotional abuse. So basically, explain a time where you went through some emotional abuse, explain what happened, explain what, how you survived it, how you overcame it, and like I said, give advice to those who might be going through something similar.
I think going back to the beginning of the podcast when we were talking about my ex and how that kind of just set the tone for my relationships coming on. I think that the emotional abuse from him was a lot. I was always told like I wasn't enough and all that. And getting out of it, I just felt like, first of all, I had to get away from it. I had to get away from him and say I am enough and all that. And I think that over time, I realized that he really wasn't shit. He was the one that wasn't right, because he was telling me I wasn't right and I wasn't doing things right and all this, and he had a lot to struggle with in his mind. So for me, just telling myself that I was enough, and then also being around the right support group, the right family and friends that was there to tell me I was enough to helped me, because my emotional abuse, it did so much to me, feeling like I just wasn't anything to anybody, you know, and I think that he instilled that in my brain so much. And
Okay. And let me ask you this: what do you think will be the most, if you in your eyes, what's the biggest misconception of Brenda? Well, hold on, back up before we get to the. We'll put a check mark on that and hold that. What advice would you give to somebody who's going through emotional abuse?
I don't know, because it's hard. I can't even give myself advice on that.
All right. So back to the original question I had for you. What would you say is the biggest misconception of Brenda that people they misconceive of you?
I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head right now. I don't know. What do you think?
What do I think the biggest misconception is of you? I kind of asked you already. Basically,
I know we touched base a little bit, but I don't even remember exactly what I said.
I think that the biggest misconception of who you are is people perceive you being out and about in the bar, out and about living your life, and just being overly friendly as you
As
not
I
being
am, but
as
I
you
also
hold on,
take.
but I feel like people misconceive that as, or they believe that that means that one, that you're not there for your kid, because no one ever sees you with your kid.
Yeah.
And then they also believe that you are like this super social butterfly that, you know, you are out here for the streets.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, what do you have to say to that?
Misconception. You know what I'm saying? To me, if I was, and if I had anything to hide, I wouldn't be out doing what I'm doing. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
I know that I take care of mine when it comes to my house and my household and my kid. And so I just think that, yes, I'm overly friendly. Yes, I love everybody. Yes, I have a lot of friends. And yes, I'm out running the streets when I can. But I'm also at home and I take care of mine. I cook, I clean, I take care of my kid. I go to, school events. I do that. And I don't think explaining that to everybody all the time I don't think I have to explain that to everybody all the time to validate who I am and to know who I am.
Let me ask you this question. The famous question on my podcast. I don't know if you've watched any episodes before. What do you think's more important, love or loyalty, and why?
Love or loyalty? I think loyalty, because you have to have really, if you're 100% loyal to somebody, you have to have love for them. So that they come hand in hand.
Okay.
I'm
gonna say like I've always said. I always say that loyalty is the action of love.
Yeah.
So
That's what I'm saying. Loyalty is like, if you have that, you know that there's love there too. So really, what's more important? Both of them.
Yep.
But as long as there's loyalty there, there's love there for sure. I don't think that you can be 100% loyal to somebody you don't love.
all right. Well, there you have it. What do you think about the podcast?
I was nervous, but I'm here and I'm glad to be here. So.
But what do you
That's
think
nice
about
to-
just being on the podcast? What do you think about
Being
it?
on the podcast is cool. I would love to maybe another time do it again and touch base on different aspects of life. But yeah, it's cool.
Okay. I do have another type of podcast where I do like the men and women dynamics and relationships. Would you want to do that one? Even though you ain't been in a relationship in 11 years.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Okay.
I'd be down.
All right. Well, maybe we'll figure that thing out. All right. So here's the funnest part usually for the guests is
What?
I call it hot seat Herc. So basically what I do is I flip the script. I give you the opportunity off the top of your head to ask me a question.
Do you think you have to commit to a relationship or marry somebody to show your love for them?
No and yes. I think it depends on the dynamic of the relationship, meaning like both parties in there, right? So both parties, there's some people out there who require that commitment. that
Yeah.
extent of a commitment for them to believe that you really want to be with them.
Mm-hmm.
But then there's also there's also the other side of it where they're like, as long as you're showing up and you're doing what you got to do and you're taking care of me and you're like you said earlier, showing that you're for me, we don't need the title.
Yeah.
I know couples who have been together for 10, 15 years, and like I got a buddy right now who he just got married, but he only got married because of the benefits that come with it. But they've been together forever. He refers to his girl as his wife, and stuff like that. So I feel like that. No, you don't have to be sign that paper and stand in front of a judge or whatever the case may be.
Well, what about just boyfriend and girlfriend aspect? Like, do you have to say, hey, that's my boyfriend or that's my girlfriend in order to show your love or even your loyalty to somebody?
Again, it all depends. Some, for instance, when you understand relationships, you understand that, like the man holds the key to the relationship, right? Mm-hmm. But some women don't care, if you ask them.
Yeah.
But there's other women who are they say I'm like old school, right? So they say, oh, well, I'm not your girl because you haven't asked me. Mm-hmm. And I think as a man right now, it's kind of like weird for me to be like, hey, like, you gonna be my girlfriend? You gonna be my
Yeah.
I'm 38 years old, man. Like,
yeah, it does feel a little awkward.
Feels weird,
like
I'm gonna pass you a note and be like, hey, like, you wanna be my girlfriend? Check yes or no,
So at what point do you say, okay, like, we're committed to each other without asking, are you my girlfriend?
Actions. Like if I don't see you out there entertaining other dudes, or
right.
I don't see you, like just the way you move.
Yeah.
Like if you're saying like, okay, like I'm doing this, and you're budgeting, like, not, I ain't say budgeting, but let me see how to explain this. Like, if you're making your decisions based off of how it's going to affect our dynamic, and me vice versa, do the same thing, to me, that lets me know, like, okay, we're in a relationship.
Yeah.
Because before then, like, take finance, for instance, right? Before you get to that point, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to pay my bills, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that, and then after that, I'm going to go get my nails done. I don't care, about what you got going on, X, Y, Z, and then vice versa. But once you guys get to that point where you guys are committed to each other, you understand that what you do with your finances affects me. And what I do with my finances affects you. You know what I mean? When you get to that point, I feel like at that point, that's on a finance level, that's one way of knowing, like, okay, like, we're a couple. Like, even though we haven't said, like, hey, like, we're boyfriend, girlfriend, I feel like that's a long way to know.
Yeah.
I feel like that, so. Any other questions?
No, I don't think so.
All right. Well, look, guys, as always, if you haven't already, hit that like and subscribe button. Follow us on Instagram at @MindOverEmotions_VDP. Follow us on TikTok as well at @MindOverEmotions the podcast. And please shoot me an email if you'd like to come on the podcast and share your story to MindOverEmotions the podcast @gmail.com. And as always, make sure you have a support system and you reach out to that support system. And for those of you guys out there who think you might have somebody who's struggling, make sure you do your part, check on them, show them love, and just do that to all the people who's around you, who you care about. If you care about somebody, reach out to them. Stop falling into this whole social media era where you only, or you feel like you're a part of somebody's life because you follow them on social media. Like, pick up the phone, get in your car, drive across town, and check on them. Sometimes we portray on social media how we want the world to see us and what we think the world expects of us, but that's not who we truly are, and that's not how we truly feel in the moment. Some of us are battling behind that camera. A lot of these people out here, you think they're doing good, and they're struggling. So let's tap back into the old way of life, and let's be more, in person. Pick up the phone, not just through a text. Pick up the phone, hear that person's voice on the other end. Get in your car and, drive across town, like I said, meet up with your friends, go do things with your friends, your family, and stuff like that. And life will be a lot better when you do that. We all need that social connection, right? So let's work on that. Let's be better as a human society, and we out of here. Peace.